So I'm imagining in the scene that we're creating that it's kind of that like dirty little girl energy that
Mm-hmm.
I want to feel like I'm doing something bad, like I'm
Okay.
misbehaving. And
Okay.
I don't know that definitely don't want you to beat me. You dom me. I'm the sub, and you have free range to use whatever degradation language you would like. Hey, I'm Jen, host of the Open Bedroom podcast, where you'll find topics of sex, dating, relationships, non monogamy, and more. I'm glad you're here. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Open Bedroom podcast. Today, I have London Crave back on the podcast. Now, if she looks familiar, that's because she was back on episode number 84, Exploring and Negotiating BDSM, which is one of our more popular episodes. I realized pretty quickly into this that people want to talk about BDSM. And today, London and I are going to show you how to negotiate a scene within the BDSM world. London, do you want to just take a moment? I'm sure most of our listeners probably haven't heard you. My podcast has grown a lot in the last year or so since you've been on. So tell people about your background and your education and what you're up to in the world, and then we'll play.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Thank you so much for having me back. I'm so excited. So hello, my name is London. I have been in the BDSM realm for over a decade now. I originally found it through just stumbling upon FetLife and reading smut and just wanting to explore from there. And now it has blossomed into what I do with most of my spare time. I am currently the education coordinator for a group called On the Border, or OTB. It's a lifestyle group for swingers, polyamorous people, kinksters. We host a bunch of different events of varying kinds, from educational to partying. And I'm kind of the person who's in charge of getting all of the education events together, because education is my passion, especially related to sex, sexuality, kink, all of those different things. So that's pretty much what I do with any spare moment I have. I've been educating in the kink world for about 7 years now. I presented at numerous dungeons, conferences, both local and national. And yeah, that's pretty much my background in this realm. Personally, I am ethically non-monogamous. I do have a wonderful husband who's been in this journey with me pretty much the entire time. Um, and we've explored so much together, and we've grown so much as individuals and as a couple. I also have other partners in the lifestyle of varying degrees. And yeah, that's pretty much all about me.
Good job. Most people have a really hard time introducing themselves. You did such a good job.
Oh, thanks.
When London says she reads smut, she doesn't just like read smut, she devours smut.
Yes.
And it's so fun to watch her journey throughout there because she'll be like, I just read like my, I don't know, 150th book or whatever. And like you show us your, like, I don't know if it's called Goodreads or what it's called, but it's like
Hmm.
your tracker and all of that. She reads a lot of smut. And I would say in our community, like she is the go-to for educational resources, which is really fun. I've hired London to come like teach me and my partners how to talk like a dominatrix. How do we put our submissive in positions? Like, could you act out a scene for us? We don't understand. When we've been on our journey and we're confused, we don't, we want to learn something, or can you come over? And I've also been to London's house where I've gotten to really see some cool stuff one on one, or in a small group. And so, anyway, you're my go-to person. So
I'm honored.
I'm excited about creating a scene today. So I wanted to kind of set the stage for people listening about what we're going to be creating. So sometimes I hear, especially from women, either it's at a munch, like London and I are usually at the same munches. There's usually like a woman at my table and she's like, oh, I was on FetLife the other day and I think I might have found somebody to be a dom for me, but I'm kind of getting these vibes where I'm just really not sure. Or I feel like we should have some kind of a negotiation conversation, but he's just telling me to come over and he's going to just be in charge. And so I was talking with London and I was like, can we show people what it's like to have a consenting conversation that's not just like fill in the blank here, or like, oh, it's all business, but like, how can we do it in a way that also feels sexy and fun, that kind of turns us on? Because that's kind of part of the play. And then you get to go have the fun things. And I want you to see it done well so that when you see those people on FetLife or wherever they are, they're like, I'm a Dom. You can have those red flags and go, well, hold on, he's not asking me these questions, or he's not asking me what my boundaries are. And we haven't actually had a good conversation around it. So that was my intention for today. London, I will take it away, or you take it away. I'm going to pass the baton over to you.
Okay. So I want to add too, just before we get started, no negotiation, one size fits all. So just remember that what our conversation is going to look like may not be the exact conversation, but we're going to cover a lot of the same basic information that anyone negotiating with you should cover. So that's why I'm excited to get into this.
Okay.
So Jen, so what is it that you are wanting to discuss with me? I know you're looking for someone experienced and you're wanting to try something with me. So do you have something specific in mind, or are you wanting me to kind of take the lead on figuring out what we do?
I kind of have a few things in mind, so I thought we'd start with one. And hmm, the one that's most on my mind is I'd like to experience some degradation talk.
Okay.
So I'd love to
Okay.
create a scene that involves degradation.
Perfect. I absolutely love degradation, so that is right up my alley. Have you ever experienced like degradation in any extended sense before, or
Never.
do you have any experience with it at all?
None.
Okay, awesome. Um, is this something that you've experienced in your vanilla life in a negative context that you may want to try to avoid certain things, or is this something you're completely open to exploring?
Completely open to exploring.
Okay, awesome. Um, so with the degradation, are you wanting this to be focused solely on that, or do you want it to be an aspect of something larger? Like, do you want me to maybe beat you? Are you wanting something more sensual? Are you wanting something very sexual along with the degradation? Are there other, yummy things that you want to add to that to make it more interesting, or do you want it to solely focus on that?
These are such good questions. Okay. So I'm imagining in the scene that we're creating that it's kind of that like dirty little girl energy that
Mm-hmm.
I want to feel um, like I'm doing something bad, like I'm
Okay.
misbehaving. And
Okay.
I don't know that I definitely don't want you to beat me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm always up for anything sexual. I'm a very high sexual. I'm also high sensual as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking something where, you dom me, I'm the sub, and you have free range to use whatever degradation language you would like.
Okay. So are you wanting this to be kind of punish based? Like, is that what you want the degradation to be? Because you said you wanted to be like a bad girl. So do you want to be punished for that? Or do you want to be, kind of humiliated for being a bad girl? Like it pointed out and kind of brought to, everyone's attention, which everyone would be me, but kind of bring that out. Do you want a mix of the two?
I think I want a mix of the two because I haven't experienced humiliation at all. But
Okay.
I do like the idea of being punished for something, but then I'm worried you're going to beat me. So I'm
Okay.
like, I don't know how you're
Totally
going to make
understand.
this
So
scene.
the punishment does not have to be painful. I do not have to hurt you
Okay.
if that is not what you're into. The punishment can be more, especially since you're okay mixing in humiliation, I definitely can focus more on humiliating you as the punishment, as well as a lot of teasing, a lot of edging, taking things away from you. Since you said you were open to sexual, a good way to punish someone in that context, if you're okay with this, is, building them up to orgasm and ripping it away. That's a really good punishment for someone who's being really bad, really naughty, did something they weren't supposed to. Um, and what I can do is kind of lean into having you admit how dirty and naughty you are.
Mm.
And once I feel like you fully understand that, reward you with the things that I've been kind of withholding and maybe taking away. Does that sound like something you would be interested in?
Definitely.
Okay. So with that in mind, and you said you didn't want pain. So are you wanting no pain at all? Are you okay with light pain, any sort of pain at all? I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
I am okay with mental fuckery.
Okay.
I'm okay with you pretending like you're gonna give me pain,
Okay.
but I don't want to be cut. I don't want to bleed. I don't
Oh,
want to
yes.
be in any kind of excruciating pain. Maybe like very, very light impact play.
Okay.
Okay.
So like spanking, are you okay with spanking?
I don't know.
Okay.
Never
So
have been. I mean, not really. Yeah.
really interesting.
Mhm.
Okay. So we could definitely lean into that because spanking does not have to be super painful. It can be more leaning into the humiliation aspect. Like you're going to feel a little bit of a thing on your ass, but it won't be anything crazy. I definitely would not lean into anything extreme. Like you said, you've made that clear that that's not something you want. But things like hair pulling, biting, spanking, more kind of primal type pain that's more
Mhm.
just forceful, is that stuff that you're open to?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Um, so with this, with degradation, something that I always want to make sure that I cover is there anything that is off limits in terms of name calling or phrases, words, language that you would that I would say to you? Is there anything like comments on your body, comments on your intelligence, comments on your sluttery or anything like that that you just think would take you out of the headspace and just piss you off more than anything?
Good question. Um, I don't think so, but what are some common examples where someone it could trigger them and maybe that might be a problem for me? What
Yeah,
do you
so
see?
I typically do not lean into this very often in terms of some of these things, but I always put them out there just in case I get caught up in the headspace and I would say them. I want to make sure that you would be okay with it. So, a lot of things that I hear people say that they don't want when they get degradation is like insulting their bodies. So, maybe calling them fat or calling them ugly. Those are not typically things I would say, but there are people who are actually into that. So, I always want to cover if that's okay or not. In terms of intelligence, calling you stupid, calling you dumb, things like that, especially if they're calling you like a dumb little whore or a dumb little slut. Some people are really, really into that. They love being the, yes, I'm all slut, no brain aspect of it, but other people don't like that. Um, and then other things would be like, you're a filthy, disgusting whore, you're very pathetic, things like that, just kind of breaking you down and debasing you in that way, which is the whole point of degradation. And usually people are okay with that stuff. But some people have a line or certain words or phrases that they're like, you can say anything to me, but that. So I just want to make sure you don't have any of those trigger phrases, anything like that.
I do not.
Okay, awesome. Um, is there anything you really want me to lean into? Like I know you said you wanted to be like the naughty, dirty little girl. So you really want me to lean into like the slut aspect of things and the more sexual aspects of things is what I'm gathering.
I do, and I'm imagining that there's like you're physically also pushing me down. So
Hmm.
making me move. Maybe there's a leash. Maybe my
Hmm.
hair is the leash. I don't
Hmm.
know. But you're like, fucking get down here, and I'm gonna
Yes.
tell you what to do, you dirty little whatever. Is
Okay.
that
So
is that on the menu?
yes, absolutely. That was going to be kind of my next set of questions was the
Okay.
physical aspect of it. How okay are you with the dominating like body, like being rough with you and things like that? Not hurting you, but just kind of like pushing you around, maybe making you kneel. Depending on if how sexual we get, pushing your head into the bed or between my legs or anything like that. How okay are you with all of that?
I think I'm really into it.
Okay, good. I can tell you seem into it. Um, so with that in mind, I know you have other partners. Is there any sexual like restrictions or rules that I need to be aware of if we were going to get sexual with this scene?
As long as it was you and me, no.
Okay, awesome. And do you have a special safe word or do you just use red, green, yellow?
Yeah, let's do red, green, yellow. That sounds really easy to
Okay.
remember.
With degradation, because it can be really, really intense, it can get into your head really hard. The aftercare afterwards is really important, immediately following and like moving forward a few days. So, what type of aftercare would you want immediately following? And then in the coming days, would you want me to take care of your aftercare? Will one of your partners take care of it? Do you want me to check in with you?
Ooh, these are great questions. Well, depending on like how dirty. I
Hmm.
get.
Hmm.
I might enjoy like being showered or being
Okay.
cleaned off. I'm typically high touch, so I like snuggling after. And I like the idea of you following up with me
Hmm.
afterwards for, I don't know, a day or two.
Okay. I can definitely do that. Um, with the aftercare, because I know that especially if I've done something really degradation heavy, I'm gonna stay turned on and revved up forever afterwards. That's usually how I am. So in the aftercare section, are you open to still continuing sexual touch and sexual contact, but just in the softer, like I'm gonna take care of you and make you feel good and feel connected realm, or would you prefer kind of keeping that to the scene only?
No, absolutely. I am always down for sex. Always.
Okay, awesome. Yes, I'm the same way. Even after sex, I'm like, okay, let's follow it up with more sex. So, um, the non-fun stuff, is there anything medical that I need to know about, like any, medication that you may be on that would affect you during a scene, especially if things get really intense, or blood sugar issues, any sort of like joint or muscle issues that may be an issue, especially if we get rough?
Ooh. Yeah, I love that you're bringing this up. My hips are really, really tight and uncomfortable a lot of times.
Okay.
So I know you do a lot of shibari and that type of thing. So
Mhm.
like any kind of tying that would like force my hips to be open would probably be pretty painful. But outside of that, I think I'd be fine.
Okay. So when it comes to your hip stuff, just to make sure, anything that's restricting them would be painful. Is anything that's going to like force your legs apart really suddenly going to also be painful?
I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Good to know.
Good question.
Uh, I will take because especially with degradation, there's a lot of like I love to force legs open
Forcing.
and like show you off and examine and then do all sorts of nasty things to you.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
so I would want to make sure that that would be comfortable for you. But I can definitely kind of ease it open and we can feel it out. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Um, if anything, I can just make you open them for me. Because if you're being a bad girl and then you're obeying me, that's going to get you a reward. So that would be more fun anyway.
Ooh.
Um,
Okay.
so besides extreme pain and obviously no blood, anything like that, do you have any other limits in terms of types of play that you would not want introduced into this scene?
What are other examples on the menu?
So we know no impact, but are you okay with things like rope being introduced? Are you okay with things like fire, wax, any sort of like primal play, stuff like that?
Ooh, okay. You are bringing the whole menu out. Okay. Um, I'm okay with rope. I don't think I'm okay with fire.
Mhm.
Um, wax sounds yummy if it's not burny.
Mhm.
And what was the last one? Primal play.
Primal. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm getting more into primal play because of Steph. And so I mean, I don't know that I'm like throw me into the woods and make me run through the woods yet kind of thing.
Yes.
But I think primal would be okay in the context of being in a home, in a bedroom. Yeah.
Gotcha. Um, and then kind of the final thing that I want to know is what are you wanting to get out of this? Are you wanting an orgasm out of this? Are you wanting to feel completely floaty after this? Are you wanting to break through anything emotionally? Like, is the degradation a part of like tapping into something you haven't tapped into before? Or are you just wanting to explore it because it's something that's been on your mind, you've never tried it, and you just kind of want to see where it takes you? But is there a specific goal you have in mind?
Oh,
Because I want to make sure we meet that if you do.
such good questions. Um, For me, this is something I've never tried before, and it's been a while since I've tried something new. So I'm definitely open to the experience just to see if it's something that I like. I think I will. Like I think I'm
Mhm.
kind of turned on already just talking about it. I'm always down for orgasms, and the floaty feeling, I have a feeling that's going to happen.
Mhm.
Like anytime I've ever done anything with rope or with our friend that's a dom, I get pretty quickly into the floaty aspect. So I'm kind of excited to have that as
Mhm.
well. So I think I might have a combination experience.
Okay. But no specific goal, like you want to end at
Oh,
this certain point. Okay. Um, so, so on my end, just so you're aware, the only limit that I have that would pertain to this type of scene is just I also do not do any blood. But accidental blood, if like nails scratch and blood happens, that's okay. But I don't do any intentional blood on my end as well. Doesn't sound like it would be a problem, but I just want to bring that up. The only thing I probably will not do is I will not insult your body. I will probably point out things about your body, like talking about how slutty and pathetic you look, especially if, at some point you got tears running down your face or drool everywhere, spit everywhere, you're wet, whatever. I may point that out, but I'm not going to insult your body. That's just a personal thing that I don't like to do. So I don't mind if you give back, like if you fight back and you're trying to insult back, you will probably be punished for that. It won't be painful, but depending on how mouthy you get, you may not get an orgasm that you're wanting. You may not get a certain attention or touch that you're wanting, whatever it may be. But I'm open to that playful, like banter back and forth and that power struggle just a little bit, because that makes degradation, I think, even more interesting, especially when you've been kind of put in your place if you do try to fight back. So just letting you know I'm open to that. Do you have any other questions about it, or like degradation in general?
I think I have questions just about how would I prepare myself for a scene like this for you?
So my idea, what I have in my head about this is we would probably do this someplace that you feel the safest. So if you're comfortable with me coming into your home, we would probably do it there, because degradation can really fuck with your head. So I want you to feel as comfortable as you can. So it would be at your place of residence if possible. If not, I can host. It's whatever you're comfortable with. Once there, we can discuss how you would want to dress, but I would want to help kind of set the mood by picking out your outfit. You giving me some options maybe, and me picking something, because I think it'll help the mood. It'll set my tone. I'll want you to look a certain way. We can also discuss how you want to start the scene. If you want me to just kind of come in already in dom mode, or if you prefer to ease into it, like we kind of chit chat beforehand, have a drink or whatever, and then we go to the bedroom to do the scene. Or if you want me to come in and immediately be dominant towards you, I can definitely do that. I enjoy scenes like that where it's kind of, we just get straight to business, because it really helps that mindset. If we were to do that, I would probably have you leave the door unlocked for me. I would have you be waiting in the bedroom for me, probably in a certain position, because that's going to help your mindset. And I will immediately come in and just start ripping you apart verbally, and just start kind of really examining you and inspecting you, and getting really in touch with your body, so I can really get into your head. Because I'll start with the physical and then move into the mental. So whichever of those sounds better to you, we can do. I would have you definitely like bathe right before, so you're ready for that. Make sure that you've eaten and drank pretty soon before, but not like right before, just so there's no tummy mishaps or anything like that. That would be the biggest thing. I also would want to make sure that you have someone that is going to be like your safety and your check-in afterwards. And you just let me know that you have someone like that who can check in with you after I'm gone, that you can contact and say, hey, we're all good, you can come home, come check on me, or whatever. I would definitely want to make sure that you're safe in that realm, especially after I leave you. I wouldn't want to just leave you all alone after a scene like that. So I think those would be the main ways that I would have you prepare. If we got closer to the scene and you thought of something more specific that you wanted, I could alter some of that, but that is usually how I like to prepare for degradation, because it's all about the mind fuck and that anticipation and that prep. So having you just kind of like sitting and waiting for me in position and just ready for me to come in and take over, that's always my favorite.
This actually gets me really excited thinking about this. And I'm like nervous inside right now, thinking about how long I'd have to wait, and like what the position would be, and what this clothing outfit situation would look like. And like, I'm already a little scared of you. I can't even imagine like being there, like, is she here yet? Was that the front door? Oh my God, what is she going to make me do? What is she going to say to me? Which is
Yep.
also part of the fun, right?
That's exactly why I would do it. And I would definitely make you wait for sure.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any questions I should have asked you?
The only thing that I could think of was that you should have asked me that I hadn't brought up was what were my safety precautions that I was going to take, just if there was anything that I would have prepared ahead of safety wise, like will I bring my own first aid kit? Will I ask you where the first aid is? Is there any emergency numbers I need to have or know where all of that information is handy in case I need it? That's really the only thing, which I would have discussed that with you eventually, but that's the only thing that I think didn't really get brought up in that conversation. So, for anyone watching, make sure you're asking about safety precautions.
Mm-hmm.
And then also just the safety precautions and the risks of the actual degradation, like what physical risks are you going to be taking on in this type of scene, which since we're not doing any major impact, fire, cutting, blood, anything like that, it's very minimal, but there is still some, obviously. If I'm getting rough with you, I could pull your hair wrong and you could get a crick in your neck or something. I may spank you just a little too hard, you may get marks. I may bite too hard and you'll get bruises, stuff like that. It's still minor, but just something to be aware of.
I'm curious about people's mental health and how, as a, dominatrix, how do you know? Like, how do you know if you're going to break somebody, and then afterwards they're like, need their therapist for a week or something?
Yeah, so that's why in the beginning I was specifically asking about, do you have any triggers with the degradation? Do you have any limits? Unfortunately, the sad thing is that there's a lot of times where you just don't know until you know. You may get into something and you realize, oh God, this unlocked something that I did not know was there. And now I'm really upset. I'm really triggered. Maybe this unearthed something that I didn't know was buried. And those situations, you can only do so much. Like there's only so much prep. If someone just doesn't know that that's going to upset them, they won't know till you're in it. But that's why asking about like your safety check-in, asking about what type of aftercare you need. In the moment, I would, right before, like probably the day before, I would ask, how's your mental health today? Like, how are you doing? Is there anything going on that may affect this? Do you have stuff going on in your personal life? Because mental health changes day by day. When we're negotiating this the day of, everything may seem fine. And then we get to the actual day of the scene and your mental health may have taken a dive. Maybe you had a fight with a loved one. Maybe you and your partner broke up. Maybe you're not feeling well, had a rough therapy session, whatever it is. And that's going to affect things. So that's stuff that I ask right before we do the scene, as soon as possible, just because that's information that you can't really know until as it's happening. Knowing that people can get triggered and being prepared for that as a Dom, it sucks. Sometimes you can't prevent it, but being there with them throughout it, that's part of your risk awareness. If you are agreeing to this scene, you're agreeing to, hey, I understand that I may upset you. I may do something to fuck with your head that I then will be responsible in at least helping you take care of in that moment. And then, moving forward, you'll have to take care of with your therapist, your loved ones, your doctor, whatever it may be. But there's only so much prep you can do, but you'd want to make sure to ask certain questions just to make sure there's nothing already pre-existing you can determine or, at least know about ahead of time.
Yeah, which you did a really great job of. Outside of a BDSM scene just being a fun experience, I imagine, and we did cover some of this in our other episode, which I'll link below, but BDSM can also be really healing. And so I'm curious if something, let's just take degradation, for example. Is there a world in a way that having a degradation scene or kind of playing this out could actually be a healing thing for someone?
Absolutely. That is actually what draws me to degradation as a bottom, is when you are in control of the situation. It's kind of like people who have been maybe sexually assaulted and enjoy CNC or consensual non-consent. It's taking that power back because you are in control of what's happening to you. Even as something, that is reminiscent of something horrible, you are now the one with the power. So it kind of like heals and bridges that gap. I know for me, I have had a lot of degradation as a plus size woman about my body and things like that. And over the last year, I have actually been leaning into kind of like the fat fetish side of things in terms of just playing in scenes that focus on how big my body is, because it's made me actually see it in a positive light. Being called fat or chubby or fluffy no longer upsets me. It just turns me on, when it used to be the opposite. But because of the journey I've taken with like moving in from degradation all the way up to praise, on those things that used to be solely negative, I now get turned on when someone's like, "Oh my gosh, you're so fat," or even when I say it, I'm like, "Oh, I'm too fat for this." I'm like, "That's so hot. I love this body of mine." So it can definitely be healing, but it is a journey, and you have to be aware that there are going to be moments where it doesn't feel very healing. The first few times I did it, especially like related to my body size, first few times I was called fat, I was like, "Oh, I don't like that," and then I had to avoid it for a little bit, kind of process it, talk it out with my partner, with my therapist, and then just slowly kind of up the ante. And now it's, like I said, to the point where it's actually part of something that I enjoy in my arsenal to get me super turned on. So it's a process, but it does work, I think.
So hot. Okay. What would you like to leave our listeners with? Right? We set them up with this expectation of you and I would play a scene out together. Most of this was real. Like, I really am
Mhm.
interested in this. And I do feel like for my own self, taking this conversation and sending it to someone like Steph, who's been on the podcast, who like her and I could definitely play this out. In fact, when
Mhm.
we saw you guys the other night, that's what we were talking about,
Mhm.
was doing a scene like this. So, is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with for people that are really interested in this and just need a little bit more encouragement to hit go and do it?
Yes. I think the big thing that I want people to know whenever you're negotiating something, one, like we said, it doesn't have to be very business-like, but you do still need to be thorough. But it starts as simple as, what are you interested in? It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be nerve-wracking. It can be simply, so what do you want to do? And then you just kind of roll from there. That's what we did in this conversation, was just, I heard what you did, and my questions were catered to your answers. I didn't necessarily have a preconceived list. I had certain things I knew I needed to get, like medical information, safety, stuff like that. But overall, I was catering it to what you told me. I was feeding off of your energy, because it's a connection exercise as well as also planning. It's a way to get inside your head and know, what is it that you want? Why are you coming to me with this? Why do you want to do this with me? What do you want to get out of it? What can we experience together? So when you look at negotiation as more than just a scene planning and also as a connection exercise, I think it makes it a little bit easier. If the lists help you, I think that they're great. And I think they're a great start, especially if you're doing something that's really complicated or you're brand new or negotiating a dynamic, for instance. But use it as just a connection exercise. It's a conversation. It's a way to get in someone's head, heart, body, whatever, and figure out how you can make magic with the scene that you're going to do.
Yeah.
So,
And one thing that I noticed that you didn't do was tell me what you were going to do to me. You
yes.
really, truly like kind of curated this whole experience by just asking questions,
Mhm.
like you just said. What do you want to
Yeah.
experience? What do you not want to experience? Is this a little
Yes.
bit too much? What if I say these words?
Hmm.
How do you want to feel at the end of it? And what is your intention? Why do you even want to do this?
Hmm.
Those are all questions I feel like, someone that's going to take great care of you is going to ask.
Yeah.
So thanks for building that in.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, ma'am. I think that's it for now. Let's leave our listeners with this. They can come back and ask questions if you guys want more from London, if you want us to come on and do a different scene, if you have other questions for her, let us know and we'll have her come back on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. This
Thank
was
you,
fun.
London. Have a
Bye.
great day. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Open Bedroom Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and give us a like and click subscribe below and stay up to date on all the new episodes that we release. If you have a topic that you'd really like more information on, leave us a comment below and we'll see what we can do. Feel free to share this podcast with all of your friends and especially your partners. This is a great way to open up some amazing conversations. We'll see you next week.